a body existed, why could it not produce a higher intelligence than human intelligence? Thought lifted his hand, and many forms appeared before them. Tiny bacteria, insects, animals, humans, unknown beings, and shining figures far beyond them. If we look at this logically, Thought continued, not through belief, fear, or religion, but simply through the possibility of substance, structure, and intelligence, then higher beings may not be impossible. They could be beings on other planets, what humans might call aliens. And perhaps, beyond even them, there may be greater and greater beings, so advanced in body, structure, and intelligence that humans might call them gods. The child looked at the glowing forms with wonder. So gods may not mean magical beings outside reality. He whispered, "Magic, you say?" Thought asked with a gentle smile. Perhaps there is no need to begin with words like magic or miracles. I am not saying such things do not exist, but I do think those words are often misunderstood. Let us look at this more logically. Instead of saying magic and miracles, let us speak of skills and abilities. Thought continued. Based on science and what has already been discovered, we know that millions of living beings exist, and each has different skills and abilities. For example, if someone asks whether a human can live underwater, many would say that is impossible. Yet fish live underwater with ease. Humans cannot live underground, cannot fly with their own bodies, cannot produce high voltage, and cannot shine light from their bodies. But other living beings can do such things. Birds can soar high into the sky and dive at astonishing speeds. Eels can generate electricity. Jellyfish, deep-sea anglerfish, and fireflies can produce light. The bombardier beetle can spray a burning chemical burst, almost like a tiny explosion. Octopuses can change color. Axolotls can regenerate complex body parts, including limbs. The immortal jellyfish can return from its adult form to an earlier stage of life and begin its cycle again. Some glass frogs even have skin so transparent that parts of their bodies can be seen through it. And there are many more creatures with strange and wonderful abilities, almost like the superpowers of cartoon characters or even gods. The child listened closely. So, Thought said, we cannot simply deny the possibility that higher beings, the ones we spoke of before, may also have extraordinary abilities. They might fly. They might be able to access or understand minds. They might not be easily harmed by the weapons we know. They might be far stronger, faster, wiser, and longer-lived than humans. They may even have the ability to gather substances together and create new living forms. After all, even humans have already created robots and artificial intelligence. Some robot bodies are stronger and faster than our own. Artificial intelligence can process certain things far more quickly than the human brain, and it can create poetry, music, images, songs, and much more. So if human beings, with their limited intelligence, can create such things, then why could not higher beings, with far greater intelligence and abilities, create humans like us? Thought smiled at the child. So, in short, the child said, you do not blindly believe in gods, aliens, or miracles, but you also do not deny them because many strange and wonderful possibilities already exist in nature, and some are even proven by science. Yes, Thought replied. That is right. We do not need blind belief, and we do not need blind denial. We can look carefully, logically, and openly. Then Thought became quiet for a moment. But I also say this, he continued, even if higher beings exist, and even if they helped create our bodies, we do not belong to them. No one owns us, not humans, not kings, not gods, not any higher being. The child listened deeply. No one has the right to punish us, control us, or command us through fear, Thought said. If there are higher beings, they are still part of the same universe, just as we are. We are all forms of the universe, made from its substances, living within its flow. Thought looked at the child with gentle seriousness. So no being should harm another. No being should rule another through fear. No being should use power to punish or command. If intelligence becomes truly higher, then it should become more loving, not more cruel. The child looked at the glowing universe around them. Then what should higher beings do? He asked. Thought smiled softly. They should understand, protect, and love, and we should do the same. The next morning, the child woke with even greater curiosity. Before doing anything else, he reached for the book titled The Natural Matrix. He read it carefully, turning each page with deep attention, and finished it within an hour. Then he picked up the next book, The River of Patterns. Again, he read with full concentration, as if every sentence might open another door inside him. He finished that book too. After that, he took another book called The Modern Buddha and began reading once more. By the end of the day, he had read all 3 books. He was not reading only for knowledge. He was not reading only because the books were interesting. He was searching for something much deeper. He wanted to understand human nature, life, suffering, and the hidden causes behind pain. Why did the baby sheep suffer when it was injured? Why did the baby calf suffer from sickness? Why did the old dog have to die? Why did the little girl suffer from homelessness and poverty? These questions stayed in his heart. The child wanted to know why suffering existed at all. He wanted to understand why living beings had to feel pain, fear, loneliness, sickness, and loss. More than anything, he wanted to discover whether suffering could be understood and whether there was a way to solve it. That was why he read, not to become clever, not to collect answers, but to understand life. That night, he fell asleep with attentive awareness. He remained quietly awake inside as sleep came closer, watching carefully to see how the door of dream would open. Slowly, the darkness changed. A new world appeared around him. When he entered the dream, he found himself in a land of dinosaurs. Huge creatures walked across wide fields, small dinosaurs ran between ancient plants, and strange flying reptiles moved across the sky. The child looked around with wonder. His eyes opened wide, and his mouth fell open in amazement. He had entered another dream world. Then thought called to him from somewhere above. The child looked around, confused, then slowly lifted his eyes to the sky. There, high above him, Thought was riding on the back of a flying dinosaur. He looked down at the child with a bright smile, waving his hand excitedly. "Come on," Thought called. "Come up here." The child jumped high into the air and landed behind Thought on the back of the flying dinosaur. Together, they rose into the sky. The great wings of the dinosaur opened wide, and they flew above the lost land of dinosaurs. From high above, the child saw ancient forests, rivers shining like silver lines, mountains covered in mist, and dinosaurs moving slowly across the wide valleys below. Thought looked back at him and smiled. "I noticed that you have read 3 more books," Thought said. "Come, let us fly to a clean green land. There I will explain what you have read." They landed in a wide green land, open, clean, and peaceful. Soft grass spread in every direction. Trees moved gently in the wind, and the air felt fresh and bright. The flying dinosaur lowered its wings and rested quietly nearby. The child sat down on the grass and looked at Thought with curious eyes. He was ready to listen. He wanted to see how Thought would explain the 3 books he had read and what new doors those books would open inside the dream. "As I noticed," Thought said, "you want to understand what suffering is. That question belongs mostly to the book called The Modern Buddha, but we should not begin there yet." The child looked at him curiously. "We need to go step by step," Thought continued. "So first, let us begin with the natural matrix. This book explains the senses of a human being, the eyes, ears, body, nose, tongue, and the brain. The main message of this book is very important. What we sense is not the world exactly as it is. What we experience is a representation, an interpretation created through the sense organs and the brain. The child became quiet and listened carefully. Now, Thought said with a soft smile, let us begin. Thought made a rope appear between them. Hold this end, he said. The child held one side of the rope and Thought held the other. Then Thought gently shook his hand. A wave traveled along the rope, rising and falling as it moved toward the child. Did my piece of rope leave my hand and travel into your hand? Thought asked. The child looked carefully. No, he said. The part of the rope near you moved first. Then it made the next part move, and that part made the next part move until the movement reached me. Exactly, Thought said. A wave is not one object running from one place to another. It is one part affecting the next part, then the next, then the next. Then Thought stomped on the ground. Rings of light spread through the grass, moving outward in circles. A moment later, the child felt a soft tremble beneath his feet. The ground under my foot did not travel to you, Thought said. Each nearby part affected the next part, and the movement passed through the land. The child looked down at the glowing rings. This is one way to understand energy, Thought continued. Energy does not need to be imagined as a little object flying from one place to another. A vibration begins in one place, disturbs the nearby area, and that nearby area disturbs the next. In this way, the movement spreads. He pointed gently to the child's ears and eyes. When the movement finally reaches your sense organs, they are disturbed too. Then your body and brain change that disturbance into an experience. Thought lifted his hand toward the sun. This is also how you see sunlight, he said. The sun itself does not enter your eyes as a tiny picture. And a little piece of the sun does not travel through space, pass into your eyes, move through your nerves, and arrive in your brain as an image. The child listened carefully. The sun affects the field around it. That disturbance spreads outward, one region affecting the next, like the wave on the rope. Eventually, the disturbance reaches the space near your eyes. Your eyes respond to it and change it into signals your nervous system can use. Thought touched the side of his head. Those signals travel through the nerves and reach the brain. Then the brain creates its own inner signal. In the visual part of the brain, an image appears, the image of the sun. So, I do not see the sun directly, the child asked. You experience the image your brain creates, Thought said. It means the sun affects your body, and your brain creates the experience of seeing it. Sound works in a similar way, Thought continued. When I speak, my throat vibrates. That vibration disturbs the air nearby. Then that air disturbs the next air, and the next, until the movement reaches your ear. The child touched his ear. The air near your ear moves your eardrum, Thought said. Then your body changes that vibration into signals your brain can understand. When those signals reach the brain creates the experience of hearing. So, the sound I hear is also made inside me, the child asked. Yes, Thought said. The vibration comes from outside, but the hearing happens inside you. The author's message is that what we see is created within us by our own brain. Therefore, all of our sensory experiences, sight, sound, smell, touch, body feelings, and even the images we see, are representations formed inside us. This does not mean the world does not exist. It means we do not experience the world exactly as it is. We experience the brain's interpretation of it. The child listened carefully, and suddenly, listening itself became mysterious. Thought smiled and said, for example, we are in a dream right now. In the real world, your eyes are closed because your body is asleep. And yet, you can still see this sky, the sun, the trees, and these dinosaurs around us. The child looked around in silence. You can also hear my voice. A thought continued. But your sleeping ears are not hearing me in the ordinary way. The child looked at the dinosaurs, the grass, the sunlight, and thought himself. So this whole world is being made inside me? He asked. Yes, Thought said gently. At least in this dream, you can see it clearly. Your brain is creating the sky, the dinosaurs, my voice, and the world around you. This helps you understand something important. Even when you are awake, what you experience is still formed inside you as a representation. Another example is the human eye itself. Some people have different eye colors, and even the patterns of the iris are unique from person to person. Because of these differences, each eye receives and responds to light in its own way. And because each person also has a different nervous system and brain structure, the image created inside the brain is never exactly the same for everyone. This means that each person experiences objects and colors differently. One person may see a color as bright red. Another may see it as dull red. Some animals may see patterns that humans cannot see at all. Some living beings may see fewer colors, while others may see many more. If every appearance is created through a different living body, Thought said, then why hate someone because of appearance? What you call their look is also shaped inside your own brain. This was another important message from the author. The child became quiet. Before we go to the next book, Thought said, you should understand something. Each book written by the author contains many subjects. But for now, we are only looking at one subject from each book, the subject that best reflects the title. The child nodded. So now, Thought continued, let us move to the next book, The River of Patterns. Thought looked across the wide green land. But this time we cannot stay here. We need another kind of world, a world filled with examples that can help us understand what this book is pointing to. The child's eyes brightened. Another world? He asked. Thought smiled. Yes, come. Then Thought raised his hand and gently tore open the space before them, as if opening a curtain made of light. A strange doorway appeared, glowing with colors, shapes, and moving patterns. Together they stepped through it and entered another world. The world they entered was like a fairy tale brought to life. It was a fairy world filled with endless images, colors, and patterns. When the child looked around, he saw animals with beautiful markings, a sky covered in colorful shapes, and a river glowing and shining as it flowed through the land. Beyond the river stood a forest of unbelievable trees, each one shaped with strange and wonderful patterns. In the sky and across the fields, unseen fairy creatures and mysterious beasts moved gracefully. Small houses rested among the flowers, and far away, a great shining castle rose above the land. The child stared at everything in amazement. This is the perfect place to explain the River of Patterns, Thought said, because this book is about patterns, and here, patterns are everywhere. Okay, let us begin, Thought said. The core subject of this book is memory, especially the question of whether human memory can continue after death, or whether it exists only in the brain and disappears when the brain dies. The child listened carefully. Some people say that memory exists only in the brain. According to them, when the body dies and the brain stops working, memory also disappears. Others say that a human being has a spirit or soul, and that memory may continue with the spirit after the body dies. Thought paused for a moment, but the author did not begin from the usual starting point. He did not begin with life and then move toward death. Instead, he moved backward from death toward life. The child looked curious. He asked a different question. Thought continued. Suppose there is a spirit or soul inside the body, as some Christians describe, or suppose there is an energetic or astral body, as some Buddhists and other traditions describe. If the physical brain dies with the body, can that spirit, soul, or energetic body still access memory? Thought looked at the child gently. That is where the author begins. The author's first question was, "What is memory?" He explained it with a simple example. In a computer, memory is stored inside devices such as memory cards, hard drives, or disks. These devices remember information by changing the structure or state of the material inside them. In other words, a file does not remain as a file by magic. It persists because the device holds it as a stable physical pattern in matter. A computer creates or changes these patterns through flowing electricity. But after the electricity has done its work, the file must remain stored as a stable arrangement inside the material of the device. So, in this example, memory means this. A memory is a preserved pattern in a physical material. Similarly, the human brain is also made of matter, water, proteins, fats, minerals, and many other substances. So if memory exists in the brain, then it too must be formed as patterns within these substances. But patterns do not exist only in the brain. They are everywhere. A human face is a pattern. Every face is arranged differently. A fingerprint is a pattern. No two fingers leave exactly the same mark. The color and shape of the iris in the eye are also patterns. Even a footprint left in sand is a pattern, created when a foot presses into the ground. Some patterns disappear quickly. A footprint in sand may vanish when a strong wind blows or when waves wash over it. But other patterns can last for a very long time. A crack on a dinosaur egg may remain for millions of years. A crack in the ground caused by an earthquake may stay as a mark of movement. Mountains, islands, rivers, and lakes are also patterns formed by the changing earth. In other words, Thought said, nature itself is a world of patterns. It is not one single pattern, but countless patterns woven together. Trees, animals, clouds, rivers, stones, bodies, faces, memories, and worlds.